Hey everyone, it's Erin. Today we are going to be talking about everyone's favorite, dun dun dun, boundaries. So when I was growing up, I had no idea what boundaries were, and I didn't understand them until I got into my 30s, because saying no to someone was like, what the heck does that feel like? What does that look like? And boundaries and learning about boundaries was like a foreign language to me. I didn't know how to interpret them for myself or from others. And I often felt like if someone was putting up a boundary to me, that it was a jab against me or a negative feeling toward me. But in actual fact, it wasn't. They were just protecting themselves. And so I always thought of these boundaries as something negative, something selfish, and just inconsiderate. And obviously, it's very much not. But I hadn't really been taught anything different. I never thought that boundaries were part of a healthy human behavior, or it was an option, because it meant that I'd be disappointing someone and putting my needs above someone else, which to me obviously felt selfish. But as a chronic people pleaser, I was burnt out from my relationships. I was burnt out from my job. And also, on top of that, the pressure I was putting on myself, because people pleasing and seeking acceptance was my life. And like most of you, that is where we fall down. And not having boundaries allow people to freely take advantage of me and my energy and my time. And at that point, I didn't see my time and my energy as something valuable. Therefore, I didn't see myself as valuable. So when I was saying yes, I was actually sacrificing myself and my needs in order to please someone else. And I didn't have a connection with myself because I was constantly giving, and not able to listen to my body and my mind of what I wanted. So I was very disconnected in who I was, and I had no idea what my personal needs were. So the truth is that we absolutely need boundaries in our life, because they are what help us stay true to ourselves. So boundaries are often, as I said, seen as this very negative, harsh, rule-setting thing, but they're really a form of self-care and self-love. It really has taught me how to love myself, but also how others can love us. It, so basically, you can start off with knowing your core values. What is important to you, and what matters most in your life, and protect those values like it was the most important thing on earth. Because if you go against your boundaries, you are sacrificing yourself, as I had said. So you need to create sacred and clear guidelines for yourself as well as others, so they're able to, follow those guidelines easily, and you're able to communicate them easily. And you need to stay true to them for yourself, because if you're not following through, how the heck is anyone else going to follow through for you either? And you're going to know when a boundary is overstepped, because for me, really, I get a tightness in my stomach. I feel uneasy. I feel like I just don't want to do the thing. It's a very strong emotion, strong negative emotion. And so you will be emotionally triggered within your body. And then, like most people, I denied this feeling and pushed it down and continued on with, fulfilling others' needs rather than myself. And so, as I said, without boundaries, people are going to take advantage of you, which takes you out of your own safety, because you're not really looking after yourself. And when you're not in your safety, you're going to feel pressured to do something that you just don't want to do, or that doesn't align with who you are and what you value. And then you're going to go down a road that you don't want to go. And I have been there, and it is not fun. So why do people not create boundaries? So one, you didn't know they were a thing, and that was me. I came from a family who, I didn't really see my parents fight, and there wasn't necessarily clear communication happening. Or you could be on the other side of it, where you had unhealthy boundaries, where you had a parent that was overbearing, and you didn't really have any space to have thoughts, feels, all of those things. And so when we're kids, boundaries are something that are taught and learned. It's not something that we are just born having this idea of boundaries and knowing how to use them. It's something that we are shown over time that allows us to learn what that means for us. So one of the ways is also coming from, obviously, childhood and learning all of these different things, is this fear of losing someone. So you act a certain way, or you stop being yourself in order to keep someone in a relationship with you, which in the end, you can't, hide yourself for too long, because you're going to have inner turmoil. And that's a whole other topic, which I will get into later. But you should never have to change yourself for someone else in order to keep them. And that is a boundary that you should keep for yourself, that you would never change yourself for anyone. And then along with that is low self-worth. So you don't believe that you deserve or are worthy of love. And this is something that I have dealt with in the past. I am working on continually every day. And it's an uphill climb, but you have to be able to put yourself first. And if you're not putting yourself first, you're allowing people to take advantage of you. So if you have low self-worth, you're allowing people to use you as a doormat, so just like roll you out and let people step right over you, because that's what's going to happen. And last but not least, people pleasing. And this goes in hand with the previous, but with this, you just don't want to disappoint or upset anyone. So you continue to take whatever is given to you, whether that is, abusive behavior, or that is, people just saying disrespectful things to you, whatever it may be, even just like treating you a certain way that is, you're uncomfortable with. So in order to stop that, you have to create that boundary. And unfortunately, creating boundaries, yeah, you're going to disappoint people, but at least you're not disappointing yourself. So the best way to create boundaries for yourself is to, number one, create time to create these boundaries. So you're going to put some time in your schedule. And let's say if you live with people, you say, I'm going to be in my room for an hour, do not bother me, and I will see you when I'm out. And so during this time, you're going to assess your life, and you're going to look at the different areas where your boundaries are, lacking, where you have good boundaries. And so that you're able to, align your boundaries with the values that you have in life, and take a look at your values. Do they need to be reevaluated? Have you gone through a big change? What are those for you? And so this isn't about being selfish. This isn't about, disrespecting other people. This is just showing yourself love and respect, that you value you and your time. So in terms of me, what do my boundaries look like? Well, I journal or engage in self-care at least 15 minutes per day. And I know that seems like a lot to everyone, but really it's just 15 minutes when I get up or when I go to bed, and, doing whatever self-care activity that is, whether that's reading a book, whether that's, journaling, whatnot. I make sure that I take 15 minutes per day. And the next thing is spending 30 minutes outside. So I make sure I go for a walk, or, I have a run in the morning, whatever that may be, is getting out in nature, because nature makes me a better person. I spend one night a week hanging out with friends or family. That's even if I'm in a relationship, regardless of that. and turning off my phone an hour before bed, which is very hard. But it just allows me to disconnect and turn my head off so that I can sleep better. In terms of dating boundaries, these you need to put in place, but I personally don't engage with people who send me inappropriate texts or pictures without my permission. That's an automatic delete. Thank you very much. I always make sure that I meet in a public place. So that way, I'm not going to this person's house down a dark alley and get myself in trouble. I only date people who are intentional about starting a committed relationship. So if you don't have that boundary and you are dating everything under the sun and they don't have a clear, value of dating someone who also is committed and they're just running around with anything and anyone, there's where you need to set the boundary and be very clear about it. So that way you can filter out all the, the fishes that need to be thrown back into the sea. And last but not least, which is my favorite, if it doesn't feel good, don't do it. If you don't want to go on a second date with the guy, don't do it. If you don't feel like talking to this guy anymore on the dating app, don't do it. If you don't want to kiss the guy on the first date, don't do it. Whatever it is, don't do it, because you matter and your, values matter. And if you say no, you're going to show yourself that you have power that is unimaginable. And last but not least, my relationship boundaries, where, when I'm in a relationship, I try to follow this, but choose respect always. So no yelling, no emotional or physical abuse, which is non-negotiable for me. One date night a week. Now I know our lives can get busy, but one date night a week with no distractions, and be vulnerable and open. Have hobbies and a life outside of your relationship, so incredibly important. And implement a communication strategy plan. I think actually that is most important, because if you can't communicate correctly with your partner, what the hell are we doing here? So learning boundaries for me and how I could set them up for myself was the most loving thing that I could have done for myself. And it allowed me to take back my power, give myself infinite value, and be able to love myself and others fiercely, because I was allowing the time to build the life that I wanted and saying no to things that were taking up my time that didn't need to be there. So I ask you this question. If today you could sit down and take out things that don't serve you and that you need to set up a boundary for, that take away time and energy from yourself, what would that be and what would that look like? I hope you guys enjoyed this video and took some insights out of it, and hopefully it helped you. I'd love to hear from you in the comments, or if you want to send me a message through email. I would love to answer any questions, or even if you just want to get in touch with me to talk. You can visit my website. It's www.thejoytribeco.ca, and I will see you in the next video.